Hey you all, so today we are going to tackle the common myth, whether or not nurses eat their young. Now, what does this mean? It's just pretty much nurse bullying. Experienced nurses bullying new nurses. Is it a real thing? Does it actually happen once you get on the floor? We're gonna get into this myth, whether it exists, why it exists. Stay tuned if this is a topic that piques your interest. I'm sorry to tell you, yes, this absolutely happens. There are some people that I talk to that are like, I've never experienced it before. I've had a great relationship with all of my coworkers. And I'm like, great, you're lucky. But it absolutely does happen. I was one of those people as well that thought, oh no, it doesn't happen, because it took a while for me to experience it. But it absolutely does happen, unfortunately, in some instances. And I won't say like in every single setting, in every single hospital. You know, sometimes you're on a really good unit or you're just paired with some really good people and you won't experience it. But, you know, I just want to be fair and real that like it actually is something that does happen to some people on the floor. So why is it? Why does this happen? Why do people feel the need to bully or intimidate other people? One of the things that I see the most is when newer nurses come in and they're off orientation, they're getting report or they're giving report to an experienced nurse, and that's when you see things start to trickle down and like start this spiral. A newer nurse may have that surface level knowledge. They may not be able to go as in depth or to know the details or the why behind something. And older nurses can sense that. So it can stem from that, or it can stem from something small, like a nurse being like, oh, why didn't you do this last night? Why didn't you do this on your shift? Why didn't you change this canister? Like little itty bitty things, just something that seems kind of small and minute. They may like kind of nitpick about because they know that you don't know any better. And I've also even seen things like things being undone by an experienced nurse who knows that they should be done because they know that they have a newer person coming on shift who doesn't know that. Example. So say for instance, you work at a hospital that does their scans mostly at night. So if a patient has a scheduled routine MRI or a CAT scan, you know typically that night shift will do it. Or say they get like a scan scheduled during the day. I mean, any type of scheduled anything, any type of procedure that the nurse knows that they should complete, they may be like, oh, I didn't have time, or oh, they said they couldn't get them in the scan, or they just may be like, oh, you should do it. And you have no idea that like, oh, like typically during this shift, they typically do it, or it's been scheduled during this shift, so it should have been done. But as a newer nurse, you don't know those things yet. So you just kind of are like, okay, like sure, whatever you say, because you're more experienced, so you know more than me. So it's kind of easy to like get things by a newer nurse that doesn't know those things just yet, or it's easy to bully and kind of like harass them about things because they don't know any better yet. Another reason why I think that nurse bullying happens is because you have this zeal about you, this fire, this light about you when you very first start. You're so excited. You haven't experienced burnout. You're not stressed yet. And so you're just very, very excited about it. And I see a lot of new nurses come in and they're very goal oriented. They're like, I'm going to finish my year or my 2 years and I'm going back to school. I'm going to get my master's or I'm going to get my DNP. And that is my goal. I want to work towards being a nurse practitioner, or I want to work towards like management or teaching, whatever. And, you know, I feel like that's just a characteristic of young people. Like you just have this zeal and zest for life. You have goals and you want to get them accomplished. Now, when you come on the floor and you have that type of attitude, or, you know, you let people know your goals, sometimes that can be threatening to other nurses. Like there may be that nurse that's been there forever and like they have their base level degree, and that's nothing to be ashamed of. Like we need nurses, we need bedside nurses. I think it's an amazing thing, and it's also amazing to like love what you do and to stick with it. But the issue that I have is when people have been there for a long time, or this is like the top level of what they see themselves doing, that kind of bully or are threatened by people who come in who want to do more, who want change, who want growth. That's no reason to treat someone poorly because you decided to take a different path with your life. So I've definitely seen that as well. I've even had a friend who went back to school to pursue her NP, who never told anybody. She literally told me that she was in school and told no one else on our unit, because she had seen other people kind of like be talked about, like, oh, you know, she's only been here for 1 year and she's already going back to school. She doesn't know enough. She's not capable enough, and all of these things, which, if you don't know enough, school's gonna teach you. So I just don't really see the point in being threatened by other people, like just being goal oriented and pursuing more. So a lot of people can sometimes be threatened by growth, and I think that that's a huge reason why, you know, bullying happens. And then the last reason is cliques. You see cliques happen a lot, and it's typically people who come in together, so they form this group, they're very close knit, and then when people come in after them, it's kind of like the group versus the new people, which I realize as I'm saying all of this, it sounds so childish, but it is a thing, guys. It sounds like elementary school. I hate it, but it is a thing, sadly. So those are the top 3 reasons why I think that nurse bullying even occurs. Now I'm gonna go into my own story, my own experience with this.